in PowerTech, looking after HR initiatives of all the locations in India, covering about 1,000 employees. He was a committee member of the National Institute of Personnel Management Chennai chapter. He was also a president of Lottery Club of Madras, Coromandel, a few years ago. He is a guest faculty on HR-related subjects in leading institutions like IIT Madras, Madras School of Social Work, and other colleges. We welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to introduce our head of the department, Human Resource Management, DG Vaishnav College, Dr. N.C. Martin. He's a highly experienced academician and has about 20 years of academic and administrative experience as a professor, HOD, Dean, and Registrar. He did his post-graduation in labor management and PhD in labor law from Tamil Nadu Institute of Labor Studies. He started his career as a lecturer from the same institution. He held various positions in Arts and Science College, Engineering, and Media colleges. He held academic positions in various educational institutions such as Sri Chandraprabhu Jain College as Assistant Professor and HOD of MSW Department, SAMS College of Engineering and Technology as a Professor and HOD of MBA Department. He was also a placement officer for the entire division of SAMS College of Engineering and Technology. During his tenure, he successfully placed engineering and management graduates in top-notch companies of manufacturing and service sectors across the country. He continued his career in St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science as the Dean of Academics. And he also worked in L.V. Prasad Film School, which is one of the best film schools in Asia, as a registrar. He acted as a jury representing the Employees Federation of Southern India for the selection of companies for the best practices of the year 2018 to 2019. He has added number of research papers and publications to his credit, and he's expert in the subject labor legislations and industrial relations. He has given centum results in various HR specialized subjects in university examinations. We welcome you, sir. This meeting is recorded for educational purposes. In case of any doubts or questions, the participants can unmute themselves or type the questions in the chat box below. And I request you all to kindly switch on your cameras now. Now, I request Dr. N.C. Martin to speak a few words about the topic for the day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. It's a very pleasant good evening to one and all present here. On behalf of management, our secretary Ashok Kumar Mundraji and beloved principal Dr. Santosh Babu. So I heartfully welcome all the participants, students, dear professors, and other HR fraternity, and also a special welcome to our resource person for hosting this webinar on the wonderful topic of a transition from institution to corporate. So today we got a witness in the recent past that the world we live in has considerably changed. So no doubt today we are in the unprecedented situations fighting against a deadly disease called COVID, which is paralyzing the entire world economy. We are in the transition from a stable economy to a volatile economy, so-called VUCA, volatile, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The complete outlook of the corporate has also changed. So new form of disruptive technologies are coming and so uprooting the so-called the traditional business. So in this context, it is necessary for graduating community to explore the available opportunities and to equip themselves to be market ready. Academia industry are of two different domains, so which operate on different pedestals. So both have different purposes and different ideologies. So however, the rapid phase of change in the outside environment is compelling academia and industry to come closer to address and solve some of the real challenges. So as per the recent statistics, the education sector in India is witnessing a major growth in the years to come, as India will have the world's largest tertiary age population and second largest graduate talent pipeline globally. So India's economy is also expected to grow at a very faster pace. Rapid industrialization and advancement in science and technology, so would require incremental workforce around 250 million by the year 2030. So our country, India, could potentially emerge as a global supplier of skilled power, no doubt. However, despite these encouraging statistics, a major segment of graduate remains unemployable, according to a National Employability Report of 2016. So which is based on a study of more than 150,000 engineering students who were graduated in the year of 2015 from over 650 colleges. Only 80% of them were unemployable. and only 3% had suitable skills to be employed in software or a product market. So such large segment of the population not getting the jobs is indeed a serious problem, as it has a direct impact on the Indian economy and also on social conditions. So though education institutions are training millions of youngsters in terms of internship and other core areas of training, they are not getting the necessary skills and talents required for a job. In order to meet the size of the workforce, the corporates have also lowered their hiring standards in order to fill the existing vacancy with no other option. So, in spite these corporate training, their incumbents are not productive enough to come up to the industry expectations, and thereby hampering the organization productivity on the whole. So, are we going in the right direction, and we could face this challenge? So, the main problem lying before is a lack of skills and unpreparedness for the job market. So, it is necessary that the industry and the academia should collaborate to solve these issues. It is indeed difficult to predict the nature of jobs, so that would be available in the future due to unprecedented situation and volatile economy. New trends, that is, new entrants of the job market should be prepared to meet the quality of the job market in terms of required talents and skills, and this effort should be a continuous process. So it's a high time that the industry and academia should explore some ways to bridge the gap. At the same time, the young aspirants should equip themselves to fit for the industry in terms of honing their skills. So with this brief note, so I conclude and leave the sessions to a resource person to share his experience and expertise, how graduates soon after the academics can explore the available opportunities and equip themselves to be industry ready. Thank you. All the best.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, but I thought somebody is going to tell me to start because I
Yes,
don't
sir.
know the
You
agenda.
can
Yeah.
start now.
Okay, that's the normal procedure. You know, the MC should say, "Okay, thanks," and now we request the speaker to speak. I was waiting for that. I thought somebody else wanted to speak in between. Okay, can we start?
Yes, sir, you can start.
Okay. Yeah, that was a nice introduction of the topic by the learned HOD, Dr. Martin. He spoke about a lot of figures and statistics. The picture somewhat is a bit gloomy in view of the COVID situation, but I would like to be optimistic and say that things are not as bad as it sounds. I take it that I would be in this session for about maximum of 1 hour, right? Is that the time given to me? Yeah, in between I'll be asking a few questions and I would request some of you to answer. Only then it will be a bit interactive. Otherwise, I wouldn't know whether you're with me or whether you're away from me. Okay. So do I take it that the time is given is 1 hour? That means up to 7 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Somebody's answering. Okay. That is Maha. Okay. You're answering. Okay. Okay. Anyone can answer. I'd like this to be as interactive as possible going forward. Okay. I'd like to have some humor in between. I would like to have some a bit of a question answers coming up even in between. I have absolutely no issues. Okay, so with these few words, I thank Dr. Martin for giving me this opportunity to take the session for about an hour. And I thank your student Anandita for having called me over and for having coordinated this session to this up to this moment. She's done a good job, and um, I'm happy to be here in spite of all my work schedule, which is again not that much nowadays in view of Corona. Even the work schedules has reduced to a large extent, and we're all working from home. So I wouldn't like to claim that I'm so busy that I've left all my work and come. It's always a pleasure interacting with students like you. And after all, I've come to Vaishnav College. It's nothing new for me. When Dr. Vidya Srinivasan was there, I've come a few occasions. When I was in Titan Watches in the late 90s, I've come there for campus recruitment and picked up a few students. So the campus is not very new to me, though I've not come there recently. So with this small brief, can we have the 2 videos for about a minute, please? Is somebody playing the 2 videos I sent? I'll tell you the context later after the 2 videos are played. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just a minute.
Yeah, that's the video. Yeah, with the audio, it's beautiful with the sound on. Can we start? I'm sure you'll get a smile on your face when you see it. Okay, that's over. Yeah, I think that's over, right? Okay. Hello, unmute. Hello. Hello. Anindita, is that over? Hello. Hello. Okay, the next one. Okay, thanks. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for the audio and the video. Did it get a smile on your faces? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Did the 65 participants here see the 2 videos? It's a short video,
Yes,
though.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm
Yes,
sure.
sir.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have got a smile on your face, right? Yeah. And I mean, too much of silence in this slightly puts me off, puts anybody off. So I'd request 1 or 2 of you to keep speaking, because too much of silence, what happens is, it's like a radio station. If the volume drops for even for 10 seconds, you get worried whether the signal is on or not, whether the sound is on or not. So I would like a sound coming from the other side. Okay. So please feel free to speak. I'm not here to say that you're speaking in between, and I'm not here to do any policing. Don't worry about it. Wherever possible, even if I hear 1 or 2 voices, I'll be happy. Okay. So do I take it that that all of you have seen those 2 videos?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the purpose of showing those 2 videos was to start on a very positive and a happy note. Why I liked those 2 videos is very simple. It shows the innocence of the kids, the 3 kids in the first video and that 1 little boy in the second video. And it says you don't need a reason to be happy. And you, especially in the first video, how the 3 kids imagine that they are strumming a guitar, and the 2 kids behind singing so innocently brings a smile on our face. So the context there is to start off on a happy and a positive note. Okay, no other reason. It's got nothing to do with the topic. I thought that takes about 2 to 3 minutes. So with that, assuming there is a smile on your face, I'll move on. Okay, now I would like to start off with just a, yeah, again, meanwhile the presentation can start. Yeah. Okay, so this is a presentation, transition from institution to organization. This was a topic I agreed with Anindita, and I liked this topic for mainly two reasons. She told me that all of you are first year and second year students, the first years going to second years, and the second years ready for a job in the next few months. So she said the first years will be even more ready now itself 1 year in advance when this topic is spoken. So she was very clear, I was very clear, and we hit on this topic. Okay, so thanks Anindita for agreeing on the topic in about 10 minutes time. Yeah, next slide please. Okay, this is the agenda in brief. Okay, know thyself. Then my views when in an organization. There are a few pointers. I would like to speak about emotions and feelings. Okay, next. And though I've said question answers, in the end, anybody can raise their hand, or I don't know, whatever is the system. You can say, excuse me, and I'll stop. You can shoot your question. Okay, now this is the first and most important slide of my presentation. Okay, it says know thyself. What are you good at? See, everybody is good in some areas or the other. So do a personal SWOT. You know what's a SWOT? Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Now I've highlighted the strengths and the weaknesses in 2 columns. Okay. Now your major strengths, when I say your, I'm referring to the students of first year MA HRM and second year MA HRM. Is that's the course, right? Anindita?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's your course. Okay. So the strengths. So your major strengths are your education. All of you are graduates from good institutions with good marks. That's why you got into Vaishnav College. So you know that education is your main strength. Then use of technology. All of you are familiar with what's happening now. Technology, computers, systems, laptops, cell phones, you name it, it's there. AOT, IoT, and so on. Now, reading. All of you are into good reading. So I'm sure all of you are liking it. You're reading on different subjects. Communication is your strength. All of you have been selected in Vaishnav College, I'm sure, after group discussions and after interviews. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, okay. The reason why I'm asking that is communication plays a major role for HR students. In fact, I remember I was a debater in my college days when I got into Madras School. And though I didn't score very highly on my written test, I breezed through the group discussions. So my communication helped me. Maybe it was an offshoot of my good school, which was Vidya Mandir, Mylapore. Similarly, all of you, I'm sure, have come from good schools. So all of you are speaking well. So communication is definitely going to be your strength in the coming years also. And for HR, it's more important than, say, communication is for an R&D engineer. Okay. Then networking. Networking, I'm not referring to the computerized networking you're seeing, your connections with Airtel and Hathway. No, I'm not referring to that. Here I'm referring to networking, meaning how you are in tune, in sync with other friends from the other colleges. And as you go along in HR, you have to be connected with HR personnel of other companies. That's networking. Leadership doesn't start from the beginning, but then as you go along, you attain positions of leadership. So you're there. It's required. And your personal and family. Okay, that's your great strength. All of you come from good families. Your parents are backing you up, so that's a great strength for you. Now, opportunities and threats. I've deliberately avoided the word weakness because I would not like to be negative and say anybody has a weakness. Now, what are the opportunities? There is scope for growth. All of you can start off as, say, a management trainee, then you can shoot up, the sky is the limit. I started off life as a management trainee in the public sector, and now I am here wherever I am, at the level of a general manager or the head of HR. The titles don't matter. Somebody will be general manager, somebody will be vice president. Globalization. This was not there when I was young, but I see the trend now. Globalization, you know what it is. I'm not going to explain. The whole world is shrunk into a village. You can somebody can be seeing me in this program from USA. Somebody can be seeing me from Andamans. Technological advancement. This is happening on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Who would have thought that we'll have something called Zoom till about 2 years back? I didn't know about Zoom. The only Zoom I knew was my car and bike zooming away. Then the term Zoom came up, and now it's almost a day-to-day word for us. So there's an opportunity. Now, threat, if I may say in one word, yeah, your competition. All of you are competitors, so competing with each other. If you're going for a campus recruitment tomorrow, all of you are competing with each other, though in a very positive way. You are about 60 students and only maybe 5 will get the job. So 55 are not going to get it. So that's competition. So that's an opportunity. You can take it as a threat depending on your perception. And then trends in areas of interest. This is also changing. I remember when I was young, I used to say, what are your areas of interest? I'll say philately, which is a collection of stamps and coins, numismatics, and so on. Now you have different areas of interest. Somebody speaks about reviewing movies. Somebody the other day I interviewed a person. He says reviewing music is his area of interest. Reviewing. It means he's so much into music, he's able to review music programs. So the areas of interest keep changing. And learning. This is again a great opportunity. You can learn every day. You can, I mean, whatever I'm talking on, you can do more research on it by just going into the net and putting the same topic. I'm sure there'll be so many videos on this. So somebody would have spoken better than me. So you're learning constantly every day. Earlier we used to read only through books and textbooks. We had to go and search in the library. Now you have so many other things. Yeah, learning. This again. So in all this, I would say it's more of opportunities, less of threats. If at all I may use a threat, it's the word competition. It's again not a threat in one sense, but it can be a threat. If you don't get a job out of 60 people, you say, hey, the 55 people are my threats. You get a job, then you say, hey, I've outbeaten those 55, so I'm better off, right? Okay, so yeah, I keep looking at my watch. Yeah, any questions? You can always shoot up. Huh? You don't have to wait for me till the end of it. Yeah, yeah. Shall we move on, or any questions? Questions can be brief. Answers will also be brief. Don't worry. I'm not going to give long-winded answers. And your questions also try to make it brief. Short questions will get short answers. Okay, reasonable answers. Shall we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, my views when you are in an organization. Okay, are you all with me so far on the first slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
that did open up the topic, because my aim is to be relevant to the topic and not deviate from it. So if you go back, whatever I mentioned there is relevant to the topic, all those words which you have seen there. So now you have to build on that. Now, just a few bullet points. Now, all of you are as I said, the first years are entering second years. The second years students are getting into jobs. So I take it that some of you have been placed, some of you are likely to be placed very soon. And I'm sure before May or June, there'll be 100% placement, which is always the reputation of Vaishnav College. Okay. Now, when you enter an organization, ladies, or do I say ladies and gentlemen, first forget the pedigree at the compound wall. This is a term which a friend of mine told me. Forget the pedigree. When I say, I'm not meaning it in any negative way. You forget who you are at the compound wall. You are entering the company as an employee. You have been selected as a HR trainee or as a management trainee or as an HR executive based on your merits. That's it. You forget whether you're from a rich family, you're from a poor family, you're from a middle class family. You forget the fact that your family suffered with all sorts of problems. Forget all that. When you are going to the company, you forget yourself. You are going as yourself, as Anindita, as Mr. Martin, as Pavitra, as I can see some of the names here, okay, as Sai Karthik. So you are entering with your name. That's your badge. Okay. Next, there's another term: unlearn, learn, and relearn. You have to forget about certain things which you have learned in your college. Okay. In the sense, certain things which were relevant in your college days are no more relevant when you enter a company. Okay. Now I'll be a bit practical, not only theoretical. See, unlearn, when I say, let me give an example. See, I'm speaking from my heart now. I don't have a paper in front of me. So I'm speaking with just some examples which I can think of. Okay. For example, to give an example, when you're students, your language among yourselves will be more informal. It'll be, hey, hi, da, how are you, da? Hey, boss, how are you? That is the language. Now, that has to change as you enter a company. The language has to be a bit more, I would say, official, more professional. Depending on the company, again, the level will vary. If you're joining an MNC company, maybe you have to be at a different level. If you're joining a middle class family, if you're joining a middle level company, it has to be a bit different. So, but then ultimately, the culture of that company will decide the language which you will have to use. So unlearn whatever language you have been talking to among your friends and learn whatever is the official language, the way everybody speaks, the culture of the company. For example, there'll be companies which will say, when you're in the meeting, you have to speak in English. Period. You have to accept that. You can't say, sir, when I was in college, I used to speak in Tamil at lunch break. There are companies which even sometimes frown at you if you're going to speak a different language. You know why? I'm not speaking with any chauvinistic bias towards any other language. The reason being, in any company, you will have people with different languages. You're at a lunch table, you're at a dining table where you may have a Gujarati, where you may have say a Bengali, and you may have a person from Delhi. Then if you're going to be talking in Tamil in the way you spoke in your college, that's not going to work, because others are going to get left out. So the common language is normally English. If you feel everybody knows Hindi and you know Hindi, speak in that language. Okay? Or in a very informal way, at the end of the day, all of you are Tamil speaking people, fine. I have no issues. I don't have any bias towards any language. But the point I'm saying is, unlearn some of the habits which you have learned in college. For example, another example is your dress code. You would have been coming to college in a particular dress code, maybe leggings for ladies and maybe jeans for boys, collarless t-shirt for boys. Yours the co-ed college, right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So there are boys also. Okay, so I can give such examples. For example, the boys might be coming in canvas shoes. Maybe you might be coming in very informal shoes to college. Maybe you might be coming in chappals. Depending again on the college. I don't say Vaishnava allows chappals. I no disrespect towards any college. But the point is, once you enter a company, you might be required to come only in shoes. So period. You have to accept that. Please believe me, in my 35 years of service, I've never gone to my company in slippers. Let me use the word slippers, okay? Or in sandals. I've always gone in shoes for two reasons. One is safety reasons, because when you go to a factory, you are expected to be in shoes. And second, that's the dress, that's the code, that's the dress, that's the culture. So you're supposed to be in that. So you have to. So when I speak of dressing, I speak about your dresses, I speak about your language, I've spoken about your shoes which you're wearing. I mean, t-shirts, for example. You might be having a t-shirt saying, "I am the boss." It might work in a college. Somebody will look at you and say, "Yes, boss," he might salute you. In a company, somebody is not going to like it. Maybe the boss himself will not like it when you say, "I am the boss." Okay? So unlearn some of those things. Then I move on. Accept and adapt the culture of the organization. That's a spelling mistake. I stand corrected. It's adapt. So this is self-explanatory. You have to understand the culture of the organization. You will go through a spell of induction in the company. So once the induction is over, you have to understand the company culture, and then you have to accept that and work. Okay. This acceptance of the culture may be in conflict with some of your religious feelings also. But that's it. Once you have joined the company, you have to accept that culture. You can't challenge that. You can't contest that, especially as young students. If you contest that, somebody is not going to like it. Okay? Because that culture of the company has stood the test of time. So you and I are no one to change it overnight. At the most, you can give a feedback. Whether it will be accepted or not, it's up to the bosses. So accept and adapt to the culture. Culture is a large word, so I'm not going to dwell too much on that. And then have faith in the organization's policies. Once you join a company, you accept the policies of the company, and then that's it. After that, don't grumble. For example, if a company has a 2-year training period, and once you have accepted it and joined with your eyes open, please, once you join the company, don't comment on it and say, "Sir, your policies on training period is too much, 2 years is too much." No, I'm just giving an example. Similarly, any company will have their timings. They'll have a 6-day week. Some companies, you'll join. After some time, you'll be bored with 6-day week. So you'll comment to somebody saying, "Hey, this company's policy of work-life balance is not good. They're having 6-day week." Somebody's not going to like it. Okay, I can give examples one after the other. But I'm just touching on it because all of you are educated. In fact, just before I started, my son, he also works in a large company called, in a large company which is Pfizer. So he has just joined as a HR executive about 3 months back. So he saw my presentation. He said, "All these things, all those boys and girls will be knowing. What are you teaching new?" He said. Okay, so that hit me on the head. So that's why I don't want to go into too many details. I'll wait for questions to come. The idea of me telling you some of these points is to provoke you to question me back. We'll have a discussion. So some of the questions which you ask, that will throw up more light than the presentation which I'm making. Okay, I'm down to the 30th minute. So another 30 minutes more. Yeah, can we move on, please? Yeah, anyone can stop me, please. Again, I repeat, you don't have to wait till I've got another 6 or 7 slides. So you can stop me in between also and shoot off questions in whatever I've spoken so far. Otherwise, you'll forget whatever I've spoken. Any questions?
So good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Who's that?
Sir, I am Nivenka from Bhadasan University, sir.
From Bharatidasan Institute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, go on.
My question is about how the HR students will be acting in mannerism and body language, sir. How they have to maintain body language and mannerism.
Yeah, good question. Yeah. See, basically, in the beginning itself, I spoke about communication for a HR person, right? I touched upon that. So the HR person's communication has to be of a higher standard than anybody else. Maybe I'm sort of proud in saying that as a HR man, my communication skills in my company is the best. I'm not being arrogant, but it has to be the best. That's why all of you are coming from good institutes. So your communication will decide your body language. If you're confident of your English and Tamil and Hindi or Bengali, whatever language you're talking, it will reflect in your body language. So your body language has to be one of full confidence, not overconfidence. It should not be one of submission. It can be humble, but you need not be submitting to somebody. You need not, go like this. It doesn't mean you have to walk like, you have to stand like this. You have to be stiff. You have to be not stiff. Sorry, you have to be relaxed in your posture, in your gestures, and be pleasant to everybody. That's the requirement for a HR person, especially youngsters. Because when you get in, the moment you show streaks of arrogance, somebody will brand you out. Okay, the whole world sometimes can be cruel. Let me tell you that. Everybody doesn't like management trainees coming into their company. You know why? I'm making a very controversial statement here. You are getting into an area where you're overtaking some people who are already there in the company. Especially when you join a good company, you join as management trainee at a salary of say 6 lakhs per year. I take it that in Vaishnav College, last year somebody was telling me the average salary was about 5.5 to 6 lakhs. Now, when you're joining at 6 lakhs, you're not joining as the lowest paid in that company. You're joining in that company where somebody is already getting only 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 5 years, 5 lakhs with about 4-5 years experience also. So you're overtaking them and joining at a higher level. So they're not going to be very kind to you. So that's where you have to settle down fast in the company with your poise, with your manners, with your pleasant behavior. I'm coming to your question about body language, about your communication skills, about how pleasant you are in moving with people, in your interpersonal skills. That's why all this are being taught to you in your college. So you have to be standing apart from the others. So you have to be very pleasant. At the same time, you have to be humble. You have to be showing the interest to learn from others. And then you should get acceptability in about 2-3 months. Okay. Once you get acceptability in your work, then you'll be welcomed with open arms by the team which is there. Okay. Otherwise, they're not going to like it, and yeah, life can be a bit tough. I'm also telling you this because when you're joining as a management trainee, it's pretty simple. It's quite nice, but at the same time, the world can look down upon you if you are not up to the mark. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Can we move on, or any other question? Don't worry, I'll cover my schedule, my topic within 1 hour. Yeah, questions can always come. Maybe okay, this answer was slightly long. I'll make my answer short also. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay. I'll do one thing. Last point, if I ask any question and if I don't see anybody, since it's a virtual meet, I'm not seeing anyone face to face, I don't know if the question is coming or not. So in a lighter vein, let's have some humor also. I'll ask the question and then I'll say any question and I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before I count 5, if I don't hear your voice, I'll go to the next question. So that means before I finish 1, 2, 3, please say I've got a question. Yeah. Okay. We'll have it like this. 2 more questions, then I'll move on. Yeah. Go on.
So you said we have to adopt to the culture of the organization for a new joinee. Adapt. Yes.
Yeah, correct.
For a new joinee that is moving from an institution to an organization. So somewhere there, the person might lose his individualism. Like, I'm not talking about culture and religious norms.
Yeah, go on. Individuality. Yeah, tell me when your question is over. Yeah.
Yes, so the individuality of a person, his principles, what he might be following. So he might have to adapt to whatever being said or which is being said by him to the company. So what happens then?
Yeah, correct. I agree with you partly. See, individuality of a person is important. But then, see, always in organizational dynamics, one of the first theories you'll have to learn is the organization is more bigger than the individual. You agree with me? You must have heard of this. The organization is more important than the individual. The company is bigger than the individual. So you may have your individuality. It's fine. You should retain that. But if your individuality in some way clashes with the culture of the organization, then the organization is something you have to adapt. If you don't accept it, try to adjust, keep moving, still you're not able to accept, then only two options. Either you have to leave or the company will tell you to leave. In other words, what I'm saying is your individuality is important, but it should not clash with the culture and with the ethos of the organization. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but at the same time, let me conclude by saying, please retain your individuality. Don't give it up just like that. And I'm sure and it's not too much of a conflict. See, all organizations are good in their own way. Nobody's going to tell you to do something which is totally different from your upbringing. Okay, in that case, you can make out that company you are not in the right place. You yourself will quit in the first 2 months. But assuming you're sticking on there, it will work out. In other words, you have to swim along with the current. Otherwise, you will get swept away. So please retain your individuality, but at the same time, remember what I've said, that theory of mine, that the company is more important than the individual. You have to adjust. You have to adapt. The company will not bend down for your sake. And when I say company, I'm referring to the company is an entity. So I'm referring to the senior people in the company, in this case, the individuals, the big bosses. So they will not come up, they will not come down to your level. You have to go up at that level. Okay? Yeah. Okay. I think if any other question? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'll move on. Yeah. So next, my views when you are in an organization. Thanks for keeping this slide ready. Yeah, just some simple bullet points. I'm not talking any rocket science. Define your career goals and be ambitious. Dream big and work for it. Simple. When I say define your career goals, see, normally when you join a new company, all of you are freshers, or assuming somebody has got 2-3 years work experience and joined the Vaishnav College, then yeah, you might be joining maybe as an executive or a senior executive. Otherwise, the chances are all of you will be joining either as management trainees or they call it a junior manager HR or junior executive. So designations can vary, but at the bottom rung of the management ladder in HR, you'll be there as a management trainee. And nothing wrong with the term management trainee, because you are in HR management and you are a trainee because you are a fresher. I started my life as a management trainee in a large company with 13,000 employees in Hindustan Copper Limited way back in the 1980s. But when I joined, after my training period was over, I was asked to sit in a department where I had 6 people who were 10 years older than me. All the 6 were 10 years older than me. So they would look at me with scant respect initially. It took a lot of time for me. I'm going back to my earlier point, to adapt to them, to get along with them. And then after some time, they started respecting me as the boss. So it's a question of firmness, toughness. Sometimes I had to go and sit near their table, learn from them. Sometimes some humor was resorted to. Sometimes some of these bonding activities, maybe a lunch with them or a dinner with them or maybe a cricket match with them. It's so many processes are involved. So you're taken as a management trainee or as an executive. And then if you look at yourself 10 years from there, that's what I'm saying, define your career goals. You'll know in the company where each person is after 3 years. So normally the structure is you join as an executive or a management trainee. Then after 3 years, you can become a senior executive. After another 2 years, 3 years. I'm telling you about a general trend. It's not specific to any company. After 3 years, you might be an assistant manager. So deputy manager, these are the designations. So maybe if you are now 22, you might be a manager at the age of 35. Okay, assuming 13 years from now. And when you're a manager, you will have management trainees reporting to you. You will have assistant managers. Life is a whole cycle. I joined as a management trainee when I had 5 elders reporting to me and I was reporting to a senior executive HR. At the end of 30-35 years, you're a general manager HR with a full team reporting to me. So there's nothing to be thinking great about it. It's a life is a cycle or a circle. It goes around and you come back to that place. But then you have to dream big. You have to think, okay, where will I be after 3 years? Where will I be after 5 years? And then work for it. Okay. Develop work ethics and excel. When I say work ethics, again, it's a big subject by itself. We can talk on work ethics for an hour. I simply here am referring to work ethics as whatever you are within yourself. Are you a hard worker? Are you a smart worker? Are you a person who will stay back till the end of the day, finish your work and go? Are you a person who puts off work and then catches up at the end of it? You know that there is a theory of urgent and important. You leave any work till the last minute, and important work will become urgent, and so on. I mean, I'm sure you would have learned about it in your college, or you learn about it. So what are your work ethics is who you are, what type of person you are. Then as somebody asked me the question, that's your individuality. Work on that and take feedbacks. You have heard of Johari window, where people have to give you a feedback on what you are. Take a feedback. If you're on the right track, go on. If somebody says, hey, you're not in the right track, do a course correction, come back to the main. It's like a train. You're going in the loop line, you come back to the main track. So that's why I'm saying excellence is a journey. You have to keep moving. Yeah, maintain professional integrity and morals. This is assuming you have joined an organization. So transition from a company from a college to an organization. In college also, yes, you have to maintain integrity and all that, but there it is a different type of integrity. Okay. Okay. For example, I will not copy from my neighbor in an examination. That's an integrity issue. I will not take away somebody's textbook. That's an integrity issue in college level. In a company, it's much more than that. It is your honesty, how you deal with money, how you deal on recruitment issues, your morals, your principles. Somebody will tell you to do something totally wrong. You'll be very disturbed. Take the opinion of your bosses. Take the opinion if necessary. Discuss it at home. Come to your parents. At a what you call younger stage in life, you can even go back to your college professors. They are there to guide you. I know many colleges which still take students with them who have passed out from there and keep guiding them. So listen to them, and finally listen to your conscience. Do what you think is right. If you are convinced about it, go ahead. Okay. I mean, to give a simple example, if somebody is going to offer you a cover as a cash for a job, you have to ask your conscience, should I take that? If your conscience says, no, don't take it. It's an issue of integrity. Your morals will come down. Don't take it. So listen to your conscience. If you think you're right, okay, it's up. I'm not saying do it, but if you do it, I mean, somebody's going to face the consequences. So I'm not here to sit in judgment about your morals and principles, but do what you think is right. Listen to your conscience. Stand alone. This means you're part of a team. At the same time, you're alone. Again, I go back to that word which somebody told me, individuality. Yes, your individuality matters, but don't compare yourself with others. For example, when I got my job in a public sector for about 1,000 rupees, I had a classmate of mine who got a job for 3,000 rupees in a private sector. Initially, I was very upset. I was depressed. I said, hey, what the hell is happening? I used to get more marks than him in college, but he's got three times more my salary. Then I realized after some time, when it hit me hard, that I cannot compare myself with him. I have to think of what I am doing. If I am convinced about it, be in that route. If I am not convinced, change your job. So don't compare yourself with others. It's your personal journey. And then another important thing when you're in an organization is your commitment. How you deliver on time determines your personal credibility. Once you get into a job, there the commitment levels are different than if you're in a company, in your college. That's why I said transition. I'm coming back to the topic. Another 5 minutes more, I'll close. Okay, you got it? So the commitment in a company is different. There you're given a job, you're given an assignment, and your boss will say, I want it by the evening. Sometimes the boss will be unreasonable. What will take 3 days time, he will say, I want it by the evening. But if you're still able to deliver it, the boss is impressed. So do your job correctly, do it at speed, and then give it correctly. In Korean companies, there is a term called drift, D-R-I-F-T. That means do it right the first time. So first time itself, you do it right, give it, your job is done. You can relax, you can move on to the next assignment. So commitment is very, very important in the company, much more than what the commitment you have in a college. In a college, your commitment is, for example, attending this session. That's your commitment. If you don't attend, okay, nothing goes wrong. You're marked absent. But in a company, if you don't deliver a particular job, there is an impression which is formed about you. Nobody's going to sack you if you don't do a particular job. But then these are all noted, which comes in when it comes to your appraisal. Yeah, next please. Next slide. Yeah. Again, A few more practical points. Punctuality. This is very obvious. I won't touch upon it too much. When you're in a college, you can come 1 hour late, 2 hours late, sign the register, give a leave letter. But in a company, timing is very important. They expect you to be on time, and especially in companies where you have to travel by a company bus, where the bus picks you up at a particular time at say 7:05. You go at 7:06, you miss the bus, you realize the value of 1 minute. So learn to be punctual. The simplest method for that is work backwards on this matter. For example, if you have to be in a particular place to pick up your bus at say 7:05, you must know what time I leave my house. What is the time of travel? So to leave my house at 6:45, I have to have my breakfast at 6:30. To have my breakfast at 6:30, I have to get up at 6. So work backwards, then you will be able to hit upon that. Otherwise, you will be entering the office late. You'll be marked late, and this reflects everywhere. Your lunch timing. If you're given half an hour for lunch, stick to half an hour. Especially as trainees or in the first few years of your job, be in the spot within 25 minutes. Don't say, hey, that man is coming 45 minutes late. Why should I come late? You're finished. Yeah. Then maintain a positive attitude and treat every opportunity as a potential learning experience. Okay, that means every day is a learning. So look at it in a very positive way. Look forward to the job when you go. You might come to college thinking, oh shit, today I've got this subject I don't like. So you can put on a face, you can frown and come. But when you go to a company, whether you like it or not, whatever job you have to do it. That's it. So look at everything in a positive way. Don't think this job is a chore, C-H-O-R-E, or it's just a ritual. No. Look at it in a positive way. And as long as you're doing the job which is related to whatever you have studied, you're on the right track. Take up challenging assignments. As management trainees, they'll expect you to take up different assignments which are more difficult, which has not been done even by seniors. They will say, hey, I'm giving you this job. It could be even a filing. For example, the filing of the personal files wouldn't have been done for, say, 6 months. So all the papers will be lying haywire. It could be a very routine job. But you say, sir, this job is not completed. I'll take it up. I'm just giving one example which comes to my mind. Similarly, there could have been some audit which would not have been done for quite some time. You might be good in that. Your Excel skills might be good. So you can say, sir, I will do this audit for you and give it. So take it up. You have to go to your boss and say, I'm ready to do it. But at the same time, don't tread on somebody else's toes. If it is somebody else's job, don't take away his job and do it. Again, you'll be marked. You'll be marked as a potential threat. And then they'll try to make life miserable for you. That's what I'm saying. You have to get along. You have to adapt. Again, every word is important. Find your mentor. Like in your college, your Dr. Martin is your mentor, your college lecturers are your mentor. And similarly, in a company, you have to find whoever is your boss. Learn from him. You must have the interest to learn from him. Then he'll be your mentor, you'll be his mentee. Participate in organizational activities. That means if there's going to be an annual day, if there's going to be a sports day in your office, take interest. Go out of the way. Don't sit like a boss and say, I'm waiting for things to happen. No, you have to do it. I know people who work night and day as trainees. They don't come home. So you have to get involved in your work. There's going to be an annual day where then, okay, you may have to take up the job of, say, setting up the stage. Your boss might say, prepare my speech. You may have to do it. Okay. And I mean, anything it can be. In relation to that program, somebody might say, get me 100 Xerox copies. Please be willing, do it. Don't think any job is below your dignity. Okay, nobody's going to ask you to sweep the floor. Okay, even if that is to be done, do it. But then those are all exceptions. But any job which is done, it could be taking a Xerox copy, taking a scan, do it. Okay, so participate. That's what I'm saying. Okay, next. I think we are about to close. Another few more slides. Yeah, and these are all theoretical aspects. Perseverance. Keep persevering in your job. Wear your thick skin and don't take things personally. This is important. You can forget your ego. That's what I meant when I said forget your pedigree. See, whatever I'm saying now is related to the earlier slides also. So have a thick skin. Don't take anything personally to heart. If somebody says, what the hell are you doing here? You're useless. Somebody might tell you. Your boss might tell you. You can't come home crying and say, my boss said I'm useless. That's why I'm saying you have to have a thick skin. And work in such a way that he says, hey, you have done a good job. But every time he keeps firing you and you ask somebody whether that firing is justified, and if somebody says, yeah, what you got, you deserve, then you are not in the right place. It's time for you to move on because you will be a misfit there. So when I say thick skin, what I mean is you have to be tough. Don't take things to your mind. You could get fired. You could, I mean, people can say, if you don't finish your work, I don't want to see heard, but don't take it to heart. You have to prove that the college from where you come is the best. So you have to manage. That's what I'm saying. Stress. Yeah, be flexible and be prepared to adapt. This again, I've already touched that, but be flexible. Be be ready to change. Then adhere to the basics of life. You should have your own values, which your parents have taught you. Stick to all that, and enjoy every stage of your life. Enjoy every stage of your training period. First year, second year, third year. Then you're ready for the next promotion. Yeah. Next one. Next one. Yeah, I think in conclusion, as I conclude now, another maybe, do I exactly, does it get cut off at the exactly at the 60th minute, or can it go on for about 60, 70 minutes?
It can be extended, sir.
Yeah, okay, because sometimes like this Zoom calls get cut in 40 minutes. If it's going to get cut, please tell me. And okay, I think now it's 6:55, maybe maximum by 7:10, 7:15 we'll close. Is that okay?
Yes, sir, it's fine.
Of course, in a call like this, somebody has an advantage. He can switch off the video and he can quit. I'm not going to keep a tab on that, but as I see it, I've got 68 people here. Yeah. Now, what are the emotions and feelings which you'll go through when you join a company at the first level? I'm coming to that. Ideally, if I was in a physical meeting, I would have made you answer me, but due to shortage of time, I'm going quickly. Happiness and excitement, you definitely have it, especially the day when you get an appointment letter from a company saying you've been selected. The happiness will be very visible on your face. You go home and touch your parents' feet. You might go to a temple. You might go to a church and pray God that you've got a job. It's the first important stage of your life. So you're happy, you're excited. You may also have fear. Am I good enough? Especially you join a huge company. See, again, there are different theories. Should you join a big company and be a small fish there, or should you join a small company and be a big fish there? These are all debatable subjects. Okay, to give an example, you join a company like Hyundai where there are 7,000 employees, where the HR strength alone will be around 45 to 50. So you will be at the bottom rung in terms of level. You'll be still a management trainee. Understand one thing: the advantage when you pass out of good institutes like Vaishnav College and Madras School and Loyola and all that is, you're straight away joining in the management category. You're not joining in the clerical category as it is said. So when you join a big company, you see people around you, you'll have a fear. Am I good enough? Am I in the right place? You may have a fear, but I'm just trying to sum up the feelings which you may have. These are all personally my slides which I've written, my thoughts. You may have disappointment. Okay, there's an example I can give is, suppose for example, you're going for an interview to Infosys, okay, or say Wipro. These are all multi-locational companies. And this again, I'm speaking from my personal example of a friend of mine whose son wanted Chennai. He was in OMR, so he wanted the location in OMR itself. And you know what he got? He got Mysore. He was very disappointed. He said, "Oh my God, I've got Mysore." And his father came to me. His father came to me and said, "You talk to the HR man and get him transferred to Chennai." I said, "No, I won't. Let your son go there. Let him rough it out in another place." So you may be disappointed at not getting the location. If you want a particular location, then you should apply to a company which has got a location only in that one place. To give an extreme example, you're in T Nagar, you don't want to leave T Nagar, then you should apply for a job which has got only one office in T Nagar, period. Then you'll get the job in that location. Otherwise, you join any large company, there is a standard appointment letter clause. It can be transferred to anywhere, to any location, anywhere in India at any time. So, in the beginning itself, tell yourself that you may not be with your parents. You may not be in your house. You may have to go out. You have to spread your wings out and travel. So, don't be disappointed if you don't get the location of your choice. Unhappiness. You will meet failure at work, especially in the beginning stages. You'll be given an assignment. You may not deliver the goods. You may do it wrongly. You may not do it on time. Your boss will fire you. Naturally, you'll go through feelings of unhappiness. And anxiety. See, feelings is a big subject. I can reel off 20, but for this purpose of discussion, I've just listed out 5. Anxiety, fear of the unknown. You're entering a company where you don't know anyone. So everybody's looking at you, and nowadays with the mask, you don't even know how the man looks like. So you have the fear of the unknown. So go through all these feelings. It's good to go through all these feelings, then come out of it. As HR people, we are supposed to be strong emotionally. Read on emotional quotient. There are books on that. Should be strong emotionally. Then all these feelings you'll go through. Happiness and excitement also, when you're having, you should not be so happy that you overreact. My son is a table tennis player. Okay, he has played for India some time back. I'm just giving an example of how he was playing against a player, and then that player won that match. That person jumped on the table and danced. He took happiness to the next level. He jumped on the table and danced. So he was suspended for the next match. Okay, so don't carry your happiness to that extent. Yeah, next please. It's a big subject. I'm trying to finish. So in conclusion, I think I've covered all the points. I've spoken about dress code. I've spoken about getting along with people. All sorts of people are there in a company. Adaptability. Yeah, I think with this I shall rest my case. I've taken 6:15 to about 7:45 minutes. Yeah. Now the floor is open for questions, please. Anandita and Dr. Martin, if he's there. I'm done. So thanks for your very patient listening. You've been good listeners. But now I would like to see some questions, and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. That's all from me.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Nobody
So,
claps after all this. Nobody claps after all these sessions, huh?
No, sir. We usually don't do it.
You don't. Okay, fine. I'm just joking to lighten the mood. Yeah, normally
Okay.
for a good speaker or for any speaker, at the end of it, the claps which you hear is music to your ears. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
please, yeah, go on. Okay,
Thank you so much.
tell me.
Yeah. Now the participants can unmute themselves and ask their questions, or put your questions in the chat box. So if there's any
Chat
questions
box?
in the chat box, I would read it out for you, sir.
Yeah, you read it out.
Yeah.
If I'm able to see it, it's fine. Yeah, we have another 15 minutes. Can we take your Mahalakshmi? Huh?
I'm Vishali, sir.
Vishali. I can see only your name as VIS. Okay. Yeah. So can we do it for another 15 minutes? Let's know, because participants should also know how long the session is going to go on, and I should also know when I'm quitting, when I'm winding up. Yeah,
Yes,
15
sir.
minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. Maybe 10 questions. Yeah, one question a minute. I'll try to be short if your question is short. Yeah,
Okay.
over to you.
Sir, good evening, sir. Pavitra here.
Pavitra, yeah, tell me please.
Yes. So my question is, as an individual, I understand and I use all the points that you have explained to us right now. But when I join an organization as an HR, from an employer's point of view, what and all I should take some initiatives to make sure that the crew under me is interact with what and all points you have said now, sir.
What is the last part? That the crew under you. What is it?
Yes, sir.
That the crew under you.
Yes, sir. Like say I'm an HR and I have some 500 employees under me.
No, hold on. I want to stop you here. First of all, when you join as a management trainee or a HR executive, you're not going to have anybody under you in that sense. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So remove that feeling straight away from your mind. Nobody.
Yes, sir, yes.
You go into the company thinking that you are at the bottommost step of the ladder. Don't go. That's what I said. Again, whatever I'm saying is relevant now. Forget your pedigree or forget your learn. I said. So okay, I'm not blaming you, but if you go with the thinking that I've got people under you, you're gone. Nobody is under you. Everybody is above you. Okay. So yeah. So now you can rephrase your question. Yeah.
Like with the mindset that I have to help them out to wear out all these points, then what and all I have to do from my part, sir?
Yeah, correct. Okay. Yeah. See, I've already touched this. Once you go in there, you have to know what is your role. See, when you join as a trainee or when you join as an HR executive in a company, you will be put through induction. Okay. So that is also part of your job. Once you are a senior person, you will have to induct others. When I say induction, that means you have to make the youngsters get to know about your company culture. So you will have, when you go through induction, you will go through the company culture. You will understand the company culture. So you have to decide where you can fit in. See, let me put it this way. Any company, when you join, it'll have different sections in HR. Okay. Okay. In fact, I'm going to speak about this for another college sometime later. I mean, not today, this week. What are the various roles in HR you have to face? So one of the roles will be recruitment. Everybody speaks of that. Talent acquisition, recruitment. Then you have payroll, which means your Excel skills, your computer skills will be called into play. Then industrial relations, labor welfare. So you have to decide where you're going to fit in. And then once the company will give you a choice to get into those areas, or depending on your interest, your areas of interest, they will fix you in that slot, in that section. You will be part of a section. All the sections put together is the whole HR department. And that has one boss. So he will say, hey, I've taken 3 management trainees, put one in payroll, one in industrial relations, one in recruitment. So you will have to understand what is the nature of the job, and then you have to do it. So when you do it, you're helping the team, you're helping the people above you, you're helping your bosses to carry out their responsibilities. So there's no question of you supporting anybody below you. Forget that somebody will be below you. Nobody will be below you in any company. Okay, those are the days gone when you'll have 3 staff reporting to you as a HR executive. Nowadays it's all not there. You have to help yourself. Okay, so you have to decide what is your strong point, and then you have to get along with those experts in that domain, in that department. Yeah, Pavitra.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I think again it was a long answer. I'll make it short. Okay, next.
Sir, there's a question in the chat box by Mr. Pugal. He's asked, I have a question. If you recruit the candidate for the certain designation, which one will be given more importance? Either knowledge about the field or behavior or attitude of the candidate? Which one is more important for an organization? Is the question, sir.
Yeah, good question. See, during the interview, I mean, the door to any company opens for you with the interview process. So in the interview, you're primarily judged for knowledge because you are a fresher. So nobody is going to judge you for your experience. Nobody is going to ask you, tell me what are the situations you have handled in labor relations. So they're going to test you on your knowledge. There could be questions on your subjects, so for which the interviewers like me will come prepared. If I'm going for an interview for freshers, I will ask for the textbooks and I'll prepare questions and come. So the questions will be asked. I mean, to give a simple example, somebody is going to ask you what is Maslow's theory of motivation, which I feel is a simple question. If you say, sorry, sir, I don't know, you're getting a mark less there. So like that, you don't answer any questions in the interview on your subject knowledge, nobody's going to select you. So first and foremost, your knowledge will open the door for you to get the job. And then during the process of the interview, they'll judge you for your attitude in a group discussion. How cooperative are you? How flexible are you? How arrogant are you? That will all be judged. And this is the selection process. Once you are inside the company, again, it's your knowledge which is going to be of help to you. And your attitude and behavior is going to be a part of the process. But first and foremost, your knowledge of the subject, which is more important, according to me. If you don't have knowledge, no use in having a positive attitude. They'll say, hey, you don't even know this. They're going to look at you like that. Similarly, if you have knowledge, you can't be arrogant and you can't treat your seniors badly. Then again, you'll be in trouble. Yeah, next question. Yeah, Pugal. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Pugal. Yeah, I saw your answer. Yeah, next. Quick, please. Let's not delay the questions, the speed of the questions. If it is there. If it is not there, you tell me no more questions. That's fine. There are 60 more. Ishali, any questions? Should I start the countdown? Baba count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm waiting in the chat box if somebody is asking a question, sir.
See, if there are no questions, it means 2 things. Either you have understood everything or whatever I've said, I've gone overhead for you. I've tried to make it as simple, and I have not quoted any theory. I have not quoted any huge subjects from any textbooks. I tried to make it as practical as possible with some examples. Yeah, but in 1 hour, it's difficult to cover everything. Yeah, next question, please. I'm waiting. Anything coming up?
I don't think there's any more questions, sir.
That's all.
Could we proceed to the vote of time?
Out of 60, only 2-3 questions. I think I've taken 4 questions. Okay, so if there's no questions, any feedback, anything, or you want to wind up? Yeah, the choice is yours. Yeah,
if anybody has a feedback, please unmute yourself.
Still any questions? Another 2-3 minutes? Yes, I'm ready to take. Can be any question,
okay.
On the subject or about me or anything. Yeah. Come along, Vaishnav College. I expect more questions from a very enlightened group like you. Okay, nothing? Okay, Vishalakshi, over to you. If no questions, I don't want to force anyone. The choice is theirs.
Okay, sir. Now Asya Ashraf would render the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. Good evening all. Every success story is a constant adaptation revision and change. I, Asya Ashraf, of First MA HRM, take this wonderful opportunity to thank our esteemed speaker, Mr. Suresh, General Manager of Brick and PowerTech, for sharing his valuable insights and knowledge on the topic transition from institution to an organization. I would like to share a few key takeaways from today's session. Knowing oneself helps understand strengths and threats. Always be ready to unlearn and relearn. Focus and develop ambition, ethics, integrity, and commitment. Attitude and interpersonal skills are important focus points. And also, as HRs, we need to have an appropriate emotional quotient. We, the future HRs, would really work on the understanding provided by our lively speaker. Sharing is caring is an age-old proverb. True to this thought, I would like to thank our PG department of the HRM's pillar, our HOD, Dr. N.C. Martin, for arranging this webinar, and our Professor Subatni for her support to organize this webinar. Providing us with an enlightening tour to the pragmatic arena of HR, I finally extend my gratitude to all the participants from various professions and students. Kindly fill up the feedback form which is provided in the chat below with your name and email ID. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, stay safe. That's more important. And don't worry, everybody will get jobs, especially in Vaishnav College. All of you will get placed, I'm sure about it. Whether I come or not, any other company will be coming. Okay? So all the very best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, be optimistic. Be optimistic. It's not as bad as it sounds. Corona will come and go, but people will go on forever. So you are the future. Another 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you will be general managers and vice presidents in companies. Then you'll think of me, oh, a man called Suresh told me that 30 years back in 2021. So life is all a big cycle. I remember getting placed from when I was young, when I was placed. Okay, I joined life as a management trainee, and you move up the ladder. So it's like you can look forward to life. HR is a great profession to be in. Don't worry. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks, Anindita, and thanks.